Okay, recording's on. So we're going to do 3.2 continued. And that was solving equations. Now, just to sort of kind of like, let me go back to my notes. Just to sort of talk about solving equations a little bit, we combine like terms, and then we solve for the variable. The one thing we didn't do is we didn't do equations with variables on both sides. So we're going to look at solving equations. With variables on both sides of the equal sign. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. Only ones we did had a variable on one side. So I'm going to put a problem down, and then I want to sort of tell you how to sort of kind of think about how to do it. So something like this: 5x plus 2 is equal to 4x minus 5. So see how there's an x on both sides of the equation? That's what we haven't done yet. So I'm put over here, like, I'll put procedure. I don't like to say steps, but just an idea of how to do the problem. Okay, so you want to get x on one side of the equation of the equal sign by combining like terms. I'll show you how to do that. I guess we're going to say add or subtract the x term. That's what I'm going to put. So we're going to add or subtract the x term. We're going to move everything, all the x's to one side of the equal sign. And then once we have x on one side, does it matter what side of the equal sign it goes on? No, it doesn't matter. And it really depends on the problem. And now we'll talk about that too as we go through some problems. But as long as x is on one side of the equal sign, and then you're going to get your constants, your numbers, on the other side of the equal sign, other side of the equal sign, by adding or subtracting and combining like terms. And then one more thing to do if it's needed. If needed, divide by coefficient, here's our words, of x to solve for x. Now, this might not mean anything to you right now, but as you go through it, I do this the same every single time. If you have done algebra 4,
Can you scroll back up and get number 3?
oh wait, sorry. I didn't realize I got down. Go ahead, number 3. If you've done algebra before and you're okay with solving for equations with variable on both sides, continue what you're doing. But I have found that if you combine your x terms first or your variable terms first, that students are more successful than if you put your constants together first. Okay, I'm going to move up in a minute, give everybody a chance to write number 3 down. And then we're going to do a whole bunch of problems. Like everybody's okay. Okay, here we go. All right, here's the first equation. So number one, we're gonna get x on one side of the equation. Is it to the right or left? This is how you sort of kind of think of it as. If I move 5 over to the right, I'm gonna make a negative x because I'm gonna subtract 5. I'm gonna subtract 4x because I want to keep x positive. Now, does it matter if I subtracted 5x first? Not really. You'll still get the same answer. It's easier if you keep a positive x. So 5 minus 4 is just 1x, which we just write as x. And I'm going to bring everything else down. I'm going to pause there for a minute. So we subtracted 4x, so we can get x on one side of the equation. I simplify by combining like terms. So 5x minus 4x is x, and I bring down everything else. And now I am going to solve for x because now I'm going to move the constants. How do I move the constants? Well, I want them on the other side of the equal sign. So I want this x here to be all by itself. So I'm going to subtract 2 on both sides of the equal sign. And then this one's going to be nice because I just get x is equal to -5, -2 is -7. And I don't have to divide. I don't have to do number 3 because I don't have a number here in front of x. So I just have x by itself. So x equals -7. Now, I love equations because you can always check your answer. And then you know if you're right? So let's
So
just,
are we adding the 5 and the 2 because they're both negatives?
yes, exactly. When I put that line down, you're actually adding down. That's what you're doing. If you want, you can put that there. But that's what you're doing. You're adding everything down every time. Exactly. So if I want to check my answer, I'm going to put the -7 into my x on both sides of the equation. And if this -7 is true, both sides will be equal to the same number. So I can multiply -35 plus 2 is equal to 4 times 7 is 28. So -28 minus 5. Now let's simplify and see if we get the same number. So -35 plus 2 is -33. And -28 minus 5. So 28 and 5 is 33, -33. And I know I had the right answer. The -7, 100% is the right answer. Okay, questions? We're gonna do a whole bunch of these. And you're gonna see like all different kind of problems. I have a good array of different kind of problems.
I have a question.
Sure.
On our test, when I was taking quiz 2, it wouldn't let me put the 1 in front of my X's, but
Yeah.
during our test, can I do that? Because I like seeing the 1.
Oh, it won't let you put the 1. You can do it on your work, but I probably won't let you do it again on the computer. But you can put it on your work. Just know that the 1x just means x. That's one downfall of the computer. Like I would be fine with it on paper, a paper test. Like, hey, you got a 1? You know what it means. We're good. But I guess the computer is sort of programmed just so that you know that 1x means x. But if you want to do it in your work, that's fine. Yes, by the way, make sure, now listen, one thing that happened on the first test, and we'll talk about it right now, why you said that, I'm glad you said that. I didn't get work for some people for a day or 2 or 3. Okay, listen, you got 15 minutes to send me your work, and that's it. So after you finish your test, you got to take pictures and you got to email your pictures like right away. I can't take them that late. So I know part of it was because of mess with that test. It was a mess. And some of you had to redo it, but still, if you're taking the test and you're writing all your work out, and you should number them so I can find them, right? You should be able to take a picture and send it to me right away. So when you hit enter and you're done and you submit your test, boom, 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 pictures and send them to me, okay? It was days before I saw some people's work, and I just can't accept that because I gotta know that it's the work that you did right that time, right? All right, anyway, here we go, number 2. Great question though, Megan. I wish it let you do that. All right, 2. So now we're gonna put something, we're gonna put distributed property in here too. So 4 times parentheses 3x minus 1 is equal to 13x. And still you will notice that there's x's on both sides of the equation, right? Okay, so first, this one, we got to distribute property first. We have parentheses, we have the 4 in the front, so we're going to have to distribute it first. So we have 4 times 3 is 12x. 4 times -1 is -4 is equal to 13x. Now, this is why I don't tell you what side to put x on, because I would not subtract 13x. I'm going to do it, don't write it down. If I subtract 13x and I subtract 13x, right? This is all goes away. So everything's on one side of the equation. I want x on one side and a number on the other side, right? So that would not be my choice. I would, since the number is by itself right here, isn't that alone? There's no other number, right? Just -4. I'm going to move -12 so it goes to the other side. That way I have the x on one side and the coefficient and the constant number on the other side. So I have -4 is equal to 13 minus 12 is 1x or x. And I'll just write it the right way so it looks right. It doesn't matter. It's just me. I don't like the x on that side at the end. So that's my answer. But see how moving 13 wouldn't help me because I had everything on one side equation. I want to separate them, x on one side and number on the other side. Okay, so then we're going to check. I'm not going to check every single one, but I just want to show you a few of them. You should always check them. So always the original equation. So 3 times -4 minus 1 equals 13 times -4. Okay, so we're going to work inside of parentheses first, order of operations. So 3 times -4 is -12 minus 1 is equal to 13 times 4 is 12, -52. 13 times 4, 12, yeah, 52, -52. I'm just checking to make sure I did it right. Okay, then we're going to simplify parentheses. 4 times -13 equals -52. And if you notice, I had 13 times -4 and I have 4 times -13, and they're going to be the same answer. So I know my answer of -4 is correct. Whoops, let me move it down. Okay, any questions on the first two? About anything, why I did this and why I didn't do that?
I have a question. So I think I'm getting confused because like, see where the 3x -1 is in parentheses? Like, in my head, I'd be doing that first, making it 2x, but I can see how that wouldn't work because then 4 times 2 would be 8.
8, right. Right. So I think, is it the original problem? The original problem you're talking about, the very beginning? Like the 3x minus
Yeah,
1
but
times
you know,
4? Yeah, because you have to remember,
first.
yeah, like right here, this one.
I mean, I can see how that answer would not be right, but so, you know, like, because previously we were solving the stuff in the parentheses first, but so is that just for like these, like when we're trying to figure out x, you would multiply the outside number by each of the numbers on the inside?
Yes and no. So you want to make sure that the inside of parentheses is simplified. So let's say I had something like, and you don't have to write this down, you can just watch. Let's say I had 4 times x minus 1 plus 2x. I would not distribute that to everything. I would combine like terms first. So these two are my like terms, and the -1 doesn't have an x, so it's not. So I would do, then I would get my 2x plus x is 3x and minus 1 comes down. So you can't put these together because they're not like terms. So as soon as it's simplified on the inside, then I would distribute. So technically, there's nothing I can do with a 3x minus 1. It is simplified in that parentheses. I can't make it 2x. And then you just distribute it. Does that help?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Good question. I'll erase that because we don't need that. Yeah, keep asking. Any other questions? I'm gonna add a page. Okay, so get a third one, 3. 9 minus 10p equals 49 minus 21. So I don't have a distributing, I don't have parentheses, I just have, whoa. I forgot, oh, that's not 49. Say, where's the variable on both sides? That's not 49, that's a p. Okay, I just have the variable on both sides and I have my numbers on both sides. So I have to get p on one side and my numbers on the other side. So this time, now we can do it. It doesn't matter which way you actually do it. So I'm going to add 10p, and that's because I want to make it positive. I'm looking at this 4. See that 4p, and I see that negative 10p. If I subtract 4p, I'm going to get negative 14p. I sort of like to make sure my p's are, my variable term is positive as much as I can. So I'm going to add 10p to both sides. Now, if you decided to subtract 4p, you're going to get the same answer at the end. I just think it's easier to deal with positives and negatives the most you can. So if I add down, I get 14p, and I'm going to bring everything else down. Minus 21 equals 9. Then once I decide to put p on the right side, I need all my numbers on the left side. So it's almost like a division. So p goes on one side and everything else goes to the other side. So that I have to then, since p is over here, my number has to be on the left. So I'm going to add 21. That way I'm separating my number from my p. Hold on, so much is coming in. And then I get 9 plus 1 is 30 equals 14p. And now to solve for p, I divide by 14. Now I got a fraction, but no big deal. We're going to simplify the fraction. We can divide both of the top and bottom by 2. I'm going to go like this. And I get 15 over 7. We're going to do fractions a little bit. I don't know what I can. I'm going to design a really bad problem. I didn't want to come up with a fraction. I want it to be a whole number. So don't worry the fact that it's a fraction yet. Fractions are coming up. We're not there yet. But the procedure, worry about the procedure. So I added 10 to make a positive p on one side. I added 21 to the other side because I want to separate. I want my numbers on one side and my p's on one side. And then I divide the 14 because p wasn't by itself this time. I divide by 14 and I get my answer.
Sorry, Ms. Garrett. I've been having technical difficulties since 9:30. I've been trying to get in. I just finally got in.
Okay, yeah, your name just popped up as being here.
Okay.
Why do you divide it by 2?
Listen, don't worry about this. I just wrote a bad problem. I think I wrote down from my paper wrong. I don't want a fraction. We're not ready for a fraction. Don't worry about it. You have no fractions on your quiz. Just worry about everything up to what I circled. So you understand what the procedure is.
Well, I know we're not doing this, but how come you wouldn't divide 30 by 14?
Because I want a fraction answer, not a decimal.
Gotcha.
I just kept it as a fraction. Don't worry about. Don't go there. Not yet. I just wrote down the wrong number from my paper, and that's why I got a fraction. I didn't want a fraction. I wanted to get 14 over 7, which equals 2, and I wrote the wrong number down when I did the problem. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about that part. Just worry about the procedure. That's my boo-boo. I can't see, even have my glasses on. I couldn't see the number I wrote down. I'm looking at, okay. Okay. Yes, okay, I have a question up on chat. Let me send a response back real quick. Hold on. Okay. 4. I'm scrolling down. So don't worry about the fraction. That was I can't read what I wrote. 4. 20D is equal to -2 5D plus 30. Don't worry, we'll be getting to decimals and fractions, and that's when you're gonna start seeing answers like that. So let's pull that up right now. Okay, we have D on both sides, and I have a number and I have parentheses. So I'm going to, this is simplified. I can't simplify it anymore. They're not like terms, so I can't combine them. So I am going to distribute. So I'm going to write 20D down, and I'm going to distribute. -2 times 5D is -10D. And -2 times 30 is -60. Now, I have my constant now here. That's all. There is no other number that I can combine. So I really don't have a choice with this one. I'm going to move that 10D over to the left. So the D is on one side and my numbers on the other side. So I am going to add 10D to both sides. $20D plus 10D is 30D. And the only thing I have left on this side, and I'll be very, 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 very careful. I do not have 60 left. I have a -60 left. Remember, minus is a negative, right? I have -60 left. Then I want to solve for D. I have a 30 with my D. How do I solve for D? I'm going to divide both sides by 30. So I can get D by itself. I have D is equal to, okay, -60 divided by 30 is really just -6 divided by 3 divided by 10, which is just -2. And then you can check it. I showed you how to check it already. You can check it. I'm not going to check all of them. If you do another one that's sort of kind of like a weird problem, I'll check it. But answer is -2. You should always check your tests on Thursday. You should always check these so you know you're right before you put the answer in. And yes, this is the kind of work I want to see on your work, just like this on your work when you hand your work in for the problem. Remember, you get 1 point for everything you have right, and then I get to add up to 3 points for all your work. So if a grade pops up after your test, I think I have it turned off anyway, but if it happens to pop up, it's not the right grade until I put all the points in. It's going to be higher than what it might be, or might be lower than what it might be. So just remember that too. Okay, 5. All right. -4 parentheses x plus 2 minus 60 equals 2 minus 10. So although it looks like, oh my gosh, this is a crazy problem, it's not as bad as it looks. It's actually not that far off from what we've done. This looks different. Okay, so this one has something we haven't done yet. Well, we've done, but we haven't done like a consistent problem. Okay, there's something we can do. If I can spell it right. This problem has something I can do something first. I can combine like terms right here. Can I do 2 minus 10? Yes. So I'm not gonna do anything except I'm gonna do that first. You wanna make sure everything that's on both sides are simplified as much as you can before you start solving. So -4 parentheses, x plus 2 minus 60. Okay, so 2 minus 10, 10 minus 2 is 8, 10 is bigger and it's negative, so -8. Now I'm going to start moving things left and right. So always combine like terms first on each side of your equation if you can. Now this one, we're going to distribute the -4 first. So let's do that. Distribute -4x, -4 times 2, -8, minus 60 equals -8. And then something else came up that we haven't done before. I can combine like terms again. I just created 2 numbers I can put together. So before I start moving things, I'm going to simplify that. -4x. Okay, so -8 minus 60, same sign. So it has to be a negative or minus, and I add them together, 68 equals -8. Okay, before I move on, any questions on that? We haven't done one where we had to combine like terms first. Because now we're looking at a problem that we've done. We got an X, we got numbers, we got to put them together. We X on one side and our numbers on the other side. So since my X is, I don't have any other X, I just have -4x. I'm going to add 68 to the other side because I want X on one side and I want all my numbers on the other side of the equal sign. So -4x comes down. And then I'm going to add down -8 and 68. So opposite signs, so I'll subtract them, which is 60. And that would be positive 60. And then to get X by itself, I am going to divide both sides by -4. X is equal to, okay, so I know the answer is negative, I'm gonna put negative. Then I'm gonna do 60 divided by 4. Okay, so 1/4 goes into 6, which is 4. That makes it 2. I bring down to 0. How many 4s are 20? 5 times 4 is 20. So my answer has to be -15. And again, you can check it as well.
How are you figuring out how to add or subtract? Like, so where it says -68 and then you add 68 to both sides. But did you say earlier that even if you subtracted it, it would come out the same?
Yeah, I think we did it last time. You want to do opposite sign. So when you solve an equation, you want to do opposite sign. Why? Because you want to make if I add 68 to a -68, it makes 0, right? Which means it goes away. That's why I put this line through it. It's going to become 0. So you want, in order to move something to the other side, you have to make that one thing a 0. So you do the opposite sign. So if it's negative, you add. If it's positive, you subtract. And whatever you do to one side, you could do the other side. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. You want it to eliminate it. You want to eliminate it, and eliminate it means make it 0. So think opposite sign, and that's why we also opposite sign, opposite operation. That's why we also divide here. So if I have -4, you don't have to write this down either, equals 60. If I were to multiply by -4, would the 4 go away? No, I need to divide by -4 because -4 divided by -4 is 1, which we just call x. So you want to think opposite operation when you solve for an equation? Good question. Okay, new page. Was 5. Okay, this one's a little bit different. That's because it starts out with a y in part of a fraction. Don't want to say fraction. Fraction scares people. Not a big deal. It really is that. Once we get the fraction section, you guys can be all fraction comfortable. Okay, so y, I only have one y. It's on the left, with the 4 underneath it. So I have to get my numbers together. So I have to move this 15. I got to start making my y is on the left. I got to get my numbers on the right now because that's where my y is. So subtract 15. And that's because 15 will go away. And I'll be left with y over 4 is equal to, okay, 40 minus 15, 25. Yes, 25. I had to check that. Now, this is a perfect thing. Whatever the last question that you guys had, this is a perfect timing to ask that question. So what do I do with 4? Like, it's divided, right? It's like y divided by 4. Fraction is dividing. So what's the opposite of dividing? Multiplying. So what do I do with that 4? How do I get rid of that 4? I multiply 4 on both sides, opposite operation. Remembering that 4 is really 4 over 1, right? Any whole number has really like 1 in the denominator. So what happens is, I'll put this work down. Actually, I'm gonna write down. If I multiply these together, I know as fraction, we haven't done fractions before, but you multiply the top and you multiply the bottom. And I'm gonna multiply this side. 25 times 4 is 100. But what just happened is, what is 4 divided by 4? Well, that becomes 1. And that's why you want to do the opposite operation. And instead of dividing by 4, if I multiply by 4, the 4's will become 1, and all I get is y, and I get y by itself, and that's what I want. So whenever you have a number on the bottom, x over 7, I'm going to multiply both sides by whatever that denominator is, whatever's on the bottom. That's how you get rid of a number that's being divided. You multiply. Same thing as if I have a number that's being multiplied, I divide it because it'll become 1. So just opposite operation. And of course, check it, check your answer. And I have one more. 8 parentheses, 60 plus 5 equals 88. Well, just looking at it, I have C on one side. So I don't really have a variable on both sides. So I'm going to, there's nothing inside of parentheses that I could simplify. So I'm just going to distribute. So distribute the 8 to 6. 8 times 6 is 48C. 8 times 5 is 40, is equal to 88. Now I have C on the left. I need to get all my numbers on the right. So that means I have to move 40. So I'm going to subtract 40 to move it from the left to the right. So 40 is going on the left. I have 48C is equal to 88 minus 40 is 48. To get C by itself, since 48 is multiplied by C, I'm going to divide by 48 on both sides. And I get C is equal to 1. And then you can check your answer. Okay, questions? I actually want to give you a couple problems to try. Okay. You turn. Okay, so 1. 12x plus 5 is equal to 11x minus 4. Give that one a try. And check it too. Check your answer. I would subtract 11x to both sides. Trying to keep a positive x. If you did it opposite way, you still get the right answer. Plus 5 is equal to -4. And then I get x by itself. I would subtract 5 from both sides. X is equal to -9. So, and then check it. If you got x equals -9, you did excellent. Any questions on it? Anything maybe you got wrong? You want to just ask me a question? Good. Two. -2 parentheses 4x plus 6 parentheses equals -9 and -16. Well, my n x. Where I get n from? start working on it, and if you're still working on it, just keep working. Okay, oops. I'm not gonna really talk in case you're working on it, so just watch if you want to watch. Those of you who did it, you get it? Good. No? No? Okay, so if you didn't get it, you see maybe what you did wrong? And if not, ask me. I didn't explain that as I did. I just sort of did it in quiet so everyone could finish the problem. But ask me.
I didn't get
I
it right the
subtract-
first time I tried. The second
I
time.
said,
Okay. What did where I guess the question is, if you don't have the right answer, where did it start not being the same? Like, where do you think, why do you think you got it wrong? Like, where do you think you had an issue?
Well, the
I
first time I tried,
subtracted-
I added 8 instead of 9.
I did 8 instead of 9. Okay, you could do that though. So let's just say someone else did the same thing, because you really could. I just like to keep it positive. So I'm going to scoot up a minute. So let's say I want to show you that it's not, it's the same thing, it just looks different. So let's say you got this, right? Maybe somebody else did the same thing and they're thinking the same thing. So I add 8x, I add 8x. I'm not going to show you, you can get the same answer. So negative 12 is equal to, okay, negative 9 plus 8 is negative 1x. I'm actually going to put the 1 this time. Negative 1x minus 16. Then since the x is over here, I need to get rid of 16. I need to move 16 to the other side. So x on one, so my x is on the right. I need my numbers on the left. So I'm going to add 16 and add 16. And I get negative 1x still equals negative 12 plus 16, or 16 minus 12 is 4. But here's the difference. You had a negative 1x, so you have to, x has to be totally by itself. So you have to really divide by negative 1. So that means x was equal to negative 4. You still would have gotten the answer. But see how this wound up being negative, the negative 1x, and then you have one more step to do. If you can make the number from an x positive when you combine them, you don't have that step. Like, you're adding an extra step. But it doesn't matter, you still get the same answer. So here's my question. Doing it that way, did you figure out what you would have done, what you did incorrectly, now that you've seen it the other way?
Yeah, I didn't divide.
You had the negative left leg. Yeah, exactly. But it's nothing, there's no problem doing that way. You just have to be careful with that negative. You can't drop it. Hey, any other questions? Anybody else who got it? Maybe not right.
Hey, Ms. Garrett.
Mhm.
I was gonna ask, is there anything that I had missed while I was having them technical difficulties earlier?
You'll have to go to the video. I'm sure there was, because you joined really late. So I'm sure we went through a lot before. So just go back to the video when I post it and you'll see. Although I did spend a lot of time talking about the test and making sure your homework is due. It's due tomorrow at 11:59, and your quiz is due tomorrow at 11:59, and et cetera, et cetera. So just check the video, whatever problem you might have missed.
Okay, because
Okay.
I don't want you to go back and I just want you to finish up what you got to do for the rest of the day. Because like I said, I had emailed you And like I said, I was apologizing that I was late. I was having some issues with my internet and stuff.
That's all right. Once I start class, I check email up until I sign on. Once I sign on, I don't check email anymore because I have email, I have chat, I have you. I just can't do it all. So
Okay,
once class starts, just so everyone knows, once class starts, the email is shut down. I can't go back and forth and all over the place. But I check email right before I sign on, and after that, I don't check it anymore until class is done.
okay.
So, just so you know. Okay, let's try one more. 3. Mhm. Actually, I want to do 2 more. I want to ask you something, how you would do this one. Actually, I want you to try it without me asking. I haven't done one like that. Try it, see what you would do. Okay, so this one, it's sort of kind of set up nicely, right? Sometimes the easier problems are the harder ones to do. So I have all my y's on one side. So all I have to do is combine my terms. So 18 is equal to a -2 plus 5, or 5 minus 2 is 3y. And then I would divide both sides by 3 to get y by itself. And then it'd be 6 is equal to y, or y is equal to 6, whichever way you want to write it. I'm sure since it's going to be on a computer, they're going to want you to put it this way. And then you can check your answer.
Why would you divide it and not subtract 3?
Very last part. Okay, because 3 is really held together with y with multiplying. We just don't write multiply. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. You don't want to subtract 3 because it's not being, let's put it this way. Here's when you subtract 3. Now, these are being held, this is positive 3, right? So then I would subtract 3 to move it to the other side. That would be my answer that way. But these two are being held by multiplying. So when I say 18 equals 3y, that really says 3 times y, and the opposite of multiplying is dividing. See the difference between the two kind of problems between adding and subtracting and multiplying or dividing? Does that help at all?
I'm a
Yeah.
little confused. How did you get 3?
Here. -2 plus 5. So 5 minus 2 is 3. 5 is bigger, so I got 3.
I was
Alright.
doing it like we did the other problems where you were, oh, but they're already on the same side. Okay, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
I got
that's why.
confused too, girl.
Yeah, that's why I gave it, because sometimes the easier problems are more complicated because now I didn't separate them. I put them on the same side. So you had to like combine like terms. Okay, anything else? Ask.
I need to do some more problems because I got this one. I understand this one, but the other ones, like, I don't get it. I just don't.
You just don't get it. Okay. Give me a second. I don't have any more problems to do. And I can't make them up because they'll come up to be decimals or a fraction. So let me grab your book and we'll do a few more problems. Not a problem. But let me grab your book first. Right back.
Am I the only one that is like that? Do y'all get it? Because I don't get it.
No, probably not. Don't worry.
And I keep getting mixed up too. Like I got this one wrong at first but then I realized that the Y was on the same side. Just like even with multiplying and dividing versus adding and subtracting, I keep kind of getting confused with those.
Yep. So let's do some more. Not a problem. Not a
Yeah,
problem. Yeah.
At
We have
first,
the
I was
time.
having problems too with the making sure I was dividing with the time, like the 4x instead of, minusing or whatever.
Right. And you know what? It's just more practice. You'll be fine. So I'm gonna change the page and I got the book. So I have more problems we can do. And add page. These aren't easy, by the way. So don't feel bad if you're having trouble. It's not, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, let me find the problem. I got the book. Okay, here we go. What number am I on? 4. Oops. Okay, so here we go. 8x equals 2 parentheses 6x plus 10. And even if you're somebody here who understands these or you got them because you've done them before, practice makes perfect, right? There's nothing wrong with practice. Now, I'm gonna let you try it, but I want you to be really careful because see this x, 8x is by itself. You can't move that. You don't want to move that. You want to keep that 8x there. Meaning whatever's on this side, the right side for x, you're going to move over here. So just try it. Try it. Now I'll explain the whole thing after you try it.
Hey, Miss Garrett, I think I saw a blank page. Did you add an extra page or something?
I may have by mistake. I don't know. Yeah, I did. I had a blank page by mistake. It's all right. I don't think I can erase. I don't think I deleted the blank page either. Yeah, I did. I have a blank page. I see it.
A positive divided by a negative is a negative, right?
Yes. Yes. Now, the ones you're doing right now from this forward is from your book. These are kind that you could see on your math lab. Yeah, it's called My Lab, my Math Lab homework. So these could be the kind of problems you see when you do this section too. All right, so let's try it. So we're going to distribute the 2. 8x is going to stay. That's all there is. I'm going to simplify this side. So 2 times 6 is 12x. And 2 times 10 is 20. All right, so if you're having problems for any reason, there's something that some of my students do, which really helps them a lot. They put a line to keep each side on separate. So, but they know that if they do something to one side, they have to do it to the other side. Maybe if this is something that might help you, try it. So this time I can't move that 8, it's by itself. I need to move that 12 over to the 8. See how if I subtract 12 on the right side, I had to subtract 12 on the left side, and this is still my equal part. So 12s cancel. I bring down the 20. And this side, I am just subtracting. So 8 minus 12. So 12 minus 8 is 4. 12 is bigger. So that's -4. And then -4 and x are held together by multiplying. So I have to divide them. So just divide by 4 both sides. And then x would be -5. Because 20 divided by 4 is 5. I have a negative, so it makes -5. How we do? And all right. Okay, so ask me questions. I still see some people are like, okay, I got this one, but I see six people aren't getting it. So ask me a question, any question. Let me go over it again. So the 2, you have to multiply into the parentheses because it's distributive property. So when we do distributive property, we always multiply it in. So 2 times 6 was 12x. 2 times 10 is 20. So whenever you see a number with parentheses and something else going on in here, you're always going to multiply that, whatever that number is, to everything inside. Then once you have that, we're going to subtract 12x to move 12 over. How come I can't do this? Hold on 1 second. So I'm at this line right here. How come I told you not to move the -8? What happens? Well, that cancels, and we're left with 4x plus 20 is equal to what? Everything's gone, right? So you don't want everything on one side of the equation. You want x on one side and the number on the other. Can you do this problem? Of course. It's just 0. But I try to avoid the 0 because it really confuses a lot of students. So you want to try to get x on one side and the number to the other side. That's why I said don't move the 8, the 8x is by itself. Now, you could finish this. I could subtract 4x to both sides, but this is something that I would say if you were more experienced, you could do this problem this way. But at the beginning, this confuses a lot of students. I didn't want to go there. All right, let's try another one. Let's do, okay, let's try this. 7x plus 14 minus 6x equals -4 minus 10. So there's no parentheses at all, nothing. So this time, do you see how there's x's on the same side of the equation? I got x here and x here, right? And look how I have a number here and a number here. So the very first thing you need to do is clean this up. You need to get the x's together and the numbers together. So first, simplify both sides and then stop your equation. Whatever you do, don't give up. So if you're stuck, put them, don't look unless you're stuck. Put these together, simplify them, and then simplify these. Don't move anything, just simplify the left and simplify the right. Combine your like terms. Do that first. That should be your first step. Okay, so let's look. So first thing I would do is I combine the x's on this side. So 7x minus 6x is just x. 7 minus 6 is 1. You can put 1x if you want to. Plus 14 is equal to, and now I'm going to combine my numbers on the right side. Negative 4 minus 10. All right, they're the same sign, so I'm going to add them to make 4 plus 10 is 14, and that would make negative 14. And once you simplify it, we only have one thing to do, actually. We have my x's over here, so all my numbers would be on the other side. So I'm adding 14 to x. I want to subtract 14 to move it to the other side. Why did I subtract? Opposite sign, then adding 14, subtract 14, because x needs to be by itself. And if I subtract 14, I have negative 14 and another negative 14. They're the same sign, so I add them and keep the sign, and that would be negative 28. Better? If you're really having trouble with these, stay after me at class a little bit, and I'll do some more problems for you too. So let's do one more, and then we'll have about 20 minutes left. I have one more thing I want to talk to you about, actually. Hold on. I have your test in front of me, so I'm looking. I can tell you that the equations on the tests are on the smaller side. Actually, let me make one up just like the test, and then you'll see. Okay, so it's probably here anyway. Yeah, probably is. Okay, so let's say this is one that's probably, well, yeah, except for the numbers, this is what's on your test. Okay, so for x minus 13 is equal to 35. Try that. Okay. Have the x by itself on one side already. I just need to get rid of the 13, the negative 13, or minus 13. So I'm going to add 13 to both sides. That way I have x on one side and all my numbers on the other side except for 4. So that's 8 and that's 48. Now, I need to get x by itself. The only thing hanging out with x right now, like I said, that hanging out with x is that 4, right? So how is 4 attached to x? By multiplying. We don't write multiply, but it's multiplying. So to get rid of it, I need to divide 4. That means x is equal to, okay, so 48 divided by 4. 4 times 4 is 4. Subtract 8. How many 4s are in 8? 2. So x is equal to 12. And then you can also check your answer by checking in. All right, so if you want to do a few more extra problems with me after class, I am more than happy to stay on. Just don't hang up and just stay with me. All right, one more last thing I need to go over, and I want to go over your what you're going to see on your test. I'm going to change the page first. Okay, so